My family is, like most people from Australia, is part Irish and also part French, but you don't discuss being French because there's something bad there. I don't know what happened, but something happened. And my grandma always used to try and teach me French because she could still speak it. And I never wanted to learn it when I was a teenager, and because it was, I was doing other things. But I wish I'd learned it now because it would come in very handy.
Yeah.
The ladies love it. What else? My family's from. Well, my grandfather's from. He was an orphan. His mum was a piano player, and so she went around the pubs of Sydney playing piano. And he used to. And they didn't really have a place to live, so he used to follow his mum around when he was little, and he used to actually. So she'd be playing in a pub, and he used to sleep under the piano some nights while she was playing, and everyone was getting pissed and carrying on. And he used to. And she died when he was pretty young, and he was put in an orphanage. And he was in Sydney, and this was probably in the 20s, I would say. And the orphanage was so terrible. Sydney was a rough place then. And he ran away, and he ran into the bush. So he ran north of Sydney, and he just drifted around working on farms. Ended up joining the army, like I think most guys did back then. And went to war, and so he fought in the Second World War in Asia and New Guinea. And he came back, and for veterans then they gave them they had a whole generation of guys with nothing to do, and no money. So they handed out land, but they gave them the shittest land possible. They gave him lots of it, but it was shit. So he got an allotment about 2 hours north of Sydney and started a dairy farm, and that's where he met my grandmother, who didn't know anything about his past, didn't know about being an orphan, didn't know anything until one night they were at a party in a suburb which 50, 60, 70 years later I ended up living in the house next door to the place that the party was at. But at this party, she was in one room, and she heard this piano playing coming from another room. And she said, "Oh, that sounds pretty good." And so she went out to see where this music was coming from, and it was my grandfather playing the piano. She didn't even know that he could play, and he was there pounding away on the piano, and everyone was dancing. He kept up. And so whenever I play piano in front of her, she gets a bit teary. So I feel whenever I play the piano, I kind of feel like that's a connection to my family in the past, especially when I'm pounding away in a pub.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you play piano, you feel like connection to your family or not?
Yeah, yeah.
And it's like your father taught you, or?
Well, no, he loves music, but he never learned. But I don't know. I got a letter from my grandma. When I was I've been living in London for a while, and it was I'd sent her some pictures or someone had sent her some pictures, and I was just playing it randomly the piano in a pub up at Lincoln. It was just a pub, and I asked the owner if I could play the piano, and was pounding away, and everyone was pissed and having a good time. And I was thinking about my grandfather then actually, but I sent somehow my name got a hold of the picture, and she sent me a letter. She was saying, "Oh, your grandfather would be so proud," you know. I think the words were, I think she said, feeling the music and playing with your heart instead of your head, or something like that. It's very martial arts kind of, you know. It was very sentimental, but it was very nice. Yeah. So that's, yeah.
And what else?
The rest of my family, though. Do you know about the other parts of the family?
No.
Nah. Good. not that exciting.